Alright guys, how you doing? This is Tech Reviews 135 here, and I'm going to be showing you how to replace the processor and or RAM on a main board. And I'm going to be showing you on two different processors and two completely different sockets. So basically this is pretty mainstream. Say you go into a repair shop and they say, oh, you need a new processor. And you go ahead and buy the processor, and they're going to charge you like $30 to $40 to have it put in. Well, putting in the processor is an easy, simple, but cautious, and you have to be extremely careful when you do this. So I'm going to show you it. I'm going to go ahead and show you it on this main board here. This has an AMD 939 socket. It's an older main board. Still pretty generic heatsink design, and the way you remove it, and etc. etc. Also going to show you how you can remove RAM if you ever needed to, or how to add RAM if you ever wanted to. So this is pretty straightforward. Basically what you want to do is you want to open up the side panel. There's usually a side panel on the side of your computer. If there isn't, that's a problem. And what you want to do is you want to look around, and you'll probably see something like this. Now it's not going to be exactly like this, but it's going to be pretty similar to this design. Now what you want to do is there's usually a clip of some sort, and you basically want to pull that clip back, and there are some hooks that it's attached to. And what you want to do is you just want to take it and you want to pull it off those hooks, just like that. And then you can go ahead and lift it up. So once it's lifted up, it's usually plugged into here, and this will be easy to get on. If it's got 4 holes, you're gonna look for the little things that stick up right there, and you're just gonna match them up with that. Okay, so now once you got the heatsink off, you're going to take a look at the processor. Now, on AMD sockets, all AMD sockets, there's going to be a little metal thing right here. What you want to do is you want to pull out and up like that, like so, until it snaps, and don't put too much force there. Then what you want to do is you want to carefully pull the processor straight out. If it's destroyed and can't be used, then, I mean, who cares what you did with it? Just try not to damage the socket. Now on the back of these processors, there are billion little brass pins. Now you don't want to bend these. These bend extremely easily. So to replace the processor, what you want to look at are the little holes. Yay! And you kind of want to match them up. Pretty easy. The two that are closest together obviously go right there. So once you go ahead and line it up there, you want to be very delicate on this process, and you just kind of want to drop it right into those holes. And don't put too much force on it. You can apply a little bit, but try not to. If you have to apply force, then you probably want to take the processor off and try again. After you got the processor resting in its housing, you want to go ahead and close that lever right there, and you want to go ahead and take the heatsink. Now the little 4-pin plug here, pretty easy to plug in. Just plugs in like that. And the heatsink will be extremely easy to get back into. Just want to get the holes lined up with the clips, and you just want to clip it back on to those clips on the sides right there. And you just go ahead and pull that forward, apply a little bit of force, and there you go. So now it's going to work fine, new processor and everything. Now on to RAM. Now RAM's going to be the same for both main boards. So the RAM here is DDR, and basically on the RAM you've got these little notches right here. What you want to do is you want to take it and you just want to pull it out like that. Alright, just pull them both out. They're on both sides, and you just lift up the stick of RAM. There you go. To put it back in, make sure the notches are pulled out. Just line it up like so, and you just push it in, and the notches will go back in place. That's how you replace the processor and RAM on AMD motherboards. Now we're moving on to Intel motherboards. Now Intel mainboards, the RAM's the same. It's got the notches. You do the exact same thing. The heat sinks and processor housing are different. So on this heat sink, you're going to have a fan on top, and you're going to have probably some screws around it. If you don't want the fan to get in your way, you just go ahead and unplug that fan. And it's usually held on by clips, and you just want to lift that fan off. It'll be pretty easy to put back on. Now, once you get to the heatsink, it's not like the AMD where it had some clips here. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, you know, pretty average size. And you just want to, you really just don't want to apply a lot of force, but you're not going to lose the screws, so you don't have to worry about losing screws or anything. You just need to unscrew these 4 screws that are holding the heatsink onto the main board. Once you get the first 2 unscrewed, the other ones might get a little harder because it's going at an angle. So you get to your last one. Should probably be, yeah, it's my last one. Okay, and this really doesn't take much time at all, but you just want to get it so you can lift the heatsink off. Like so. Your heatsink probably won't look exactly like this. Pretty generic. Alright, now as you can tell, there is a big difference between this and the one we showed over there. Now this one requires just a little more, just a small step. So what you want to do is there's a little J hook right here. You want to, and there is, as you can see right there, there's a clip. You want to pull it out, and it'll come up by itself. Alright, so you go ahead and set that down. Now right here, you're going to grab right there, just lifted that up, and on these little notch things on both sides, delicately lift the processor. Now these are different. These do not have pins. The only pins are on there, and they're pretty hard to damage even if you tried. So basically, replacing it, you get your processor. You just go ahead, rest it on those pins, close that down. Take this and just push it down, and it'll go into place. And to put the heatsink back on, you just line up the screws on the holes on the main board. Go ahead and screw them in. You put your fan back on. You plug your fan in. And there you go. That's how you replace processors and RAM on both types of main boards. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.